All right, what is up, everybody? This is Brandon from ComixKings. Welcome back to another episode of Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame. I'm joined here with my good friend Chett Knight. How are you doing tonight, Chett?
I'm good, guys. I'm really good. Brandon, thanks for the invite. Happy to do this with you. This is going to be fun.
Exactly, this is going to be a lot of fun. These are books that we've been meaning to talk about. We've been talking about them off screen a lot. You guys are used to seeing Ryan here, but he is living it up in Florida in Hogwarts. He's at Universal Studios, so he is out getting sunburn and butterbeer and all that good stuff. While we're here talking about the Contest of Champions, so we are going to be going over Champions number 1 by Tony Isabella and Don Heck from 1975, and we're putting that up against the 2016 run by Mark Waid and Humberto Ramos. Chett, what were your overall opinions like going into both these books? Obviously, you read this back in the day.
Yeah, it wasn't brand new for me when I got it. I think I got it around issue 16, and that's when I was just like, you know me, I'm an X-Men fan, so I see X-Men, I react. So I saw Angel and Iceman, and then I had to backtrack. Overall, I liked the series. Back then, it was good for its time. I'm not certain after reading number one again today, for this particular venture that I feel the same way because it was kind of weak in
Right.
comparison to the 2016 version.
Right, and a lot of times we're just so excited about, oh my gosh, that new team where these two are pairing up. In hindsight, it's like, oh, this was something that could have been a lot better, or it missed on some levels. And let's just address the chat, by the way. If you are catching the show live, big shout out to you guys. If you are catching it on the replay, also big shout out to you. Appreciate the support, interaction. We got missing links. His station, my dudes. What is up, brother? Good to see you here tonight. Hope you're ready to chat with us. If you guys do have a comment in the live show, feel free to leave a comment and we'll throw it up on the channel just like so, and you'll be a part of ComixKings forever and ever and ever for everyone else watching the replay. So there's your incentive. Anyway, Chad, how do you talk about Champions number 1 a little bit? Break it down for us. Obviously, you said this wasn't your favorite, but it still had a pretty badass creative team.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I guess in this case, we got some of the historian heroes in Marvel because these guys are mostly from the 60s.
Right.
Black Widow, Angel, Iceman, Ghost Rider. I'm not sure if Ghost Rider came around the 60s. Am I wrong there?
Ghost Rider.
I think he might have been a 1975 type deal.
This book came out in 75. Ghost Rider.
So I guess
Ghost Rider's first series started in 74.
74?
I think his first series started in 74, 73.
Either way, we got some pretty older heroes in this.
Right.
Whether Ghost Rider was new or not, I mean, later on he ends up joining the Defenders. So I mean, he's been around the block, I guess. But I guess the way it starts this book is you got Angel and Iceman on a campus, and then before you know it, Black Widow's on the same campus, and before you know it, she's got to save a demigoddess or something to that effect. And look, this Hercules going to the same campus.
Oh, yeah. If Black Widow were on the same campus as me, I would be the first to know, and we would already have that Disney Fast Pass ready, and just boom.
I think forget that. You gotta, these people hunting down this goddess, and if you got a goddess in your school, I mean, why not? But overall, I mean, it plays out, fine, but there's some things that I didn't like. I mean, the art, like you had mentioned to me earlier, is a little outdated, I guess. And what we see today in regard to art, it's a whole lot different.
I don't think Don Heck really got the facial expressions down. I think like I feel like if he was able to capture some like the character moments a little bit better to complement Isabella's niche style for that time, I think it would have been a little bit more enjoyable for me. And we got Jen in the house. How are you doing? Talking champions. I know you. I think you're a big fan of the Mark Waid run, so we're gonna be talking about that a little bit today. So stay tuned a little bit. But again, you have Black Widow in there. She's huge character today. I don't know. I think the back half of this book was a little bit better for me.
Oh yeah, I mean it amped up in a little bit of action. Yeah, I like the fact that Ghost Rider decided, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this puppy. Let me take a ride and see who I can help find me. So get some help for me at this moment. And he runs into Hercules, and Hercules has no idea who he is, but it's a good thing one recognized the other in this case because they ended up teaming up.
Right.
So
And it was just a fortunate kind of situation that led to this champions team. What is up, Michelle? Happy Monday to you. We are barely wide awake for the show, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Glad to see you in the chat. But yeah, like you said, is like they just met together, and then Ghost Rider kind of came in after the fact, which is pretty cool.
right,
Personally, I liked what the biggest highlight for me in this book was when Ghost Rider and Hercules started talking, because like the invasion that was kind of being that was the threat, like these aliens coming in, goddesses coming in, you had Hippolyta coming in at one point. Really, only Hercules and Ghost Rider could really take care of them.
right.
So you would
Yeah,
Iceman.
they have enough power, and at this point in time, Iceman's not an Omega level mutant.
No, well, Iceman is a side character who's on this team because the real X Men team wasn't using him, and they weren't using Angel either. Because this was
Well, let's be real. Iceman left the X-Men basically because he was upset and got pissed that Lorna dumped him.
yeah, that's my girl right there. She was waiting for me just all the way in 1974.
It only makes sense now because Nightcrawler is not heterosexual.
Or
I
Iceman.
mean, I'm sorry, Iceman.
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Pardon
funny.
me.
It's like this is like I'm going back to Iceman. I'm like, oh wait, he's not he's not gay. I'm like, this is like kind of a weird jump. I don't know. Um, I don't know which one I prefer though, because I like him both ways.
I prefer him the way he was. I mean, I think we've mentioned this before. They did all of that, changing his sexuality, basically to crush the X-Men in lieu of putting the Inhumans on the screen at the time, or it felt like that's what they were doing because everything was getting changed, and I guess that would take away credibility from the X-Men if they're trying to basically shelve them on the Fox side and so forth. But
Right,
I thought it was a piss poor move to do that to an original X-Men.
right, right. And Iceman's been around for a while. He had his own series, I believe, in '84. Was it?
I
He
think
had
you might be right. It was 83 or
a,
84.
yeah, he had like a six issue
Four.
mini.
Four
Four,
issues.
four. But even that was an enjoyable read. I mean, Iceman's a character that's never really gotten any love. I love seeing him in the movies, with 1, 2, and 3, with his relationship with Kitty developed. That was a whole lot
Right.
of fun. In this book, I don't think that his relationship with Angel was really set up well. Because I mean, they're like, oh, they already know each other. Boom, let's put them at the same spot and have everything
Yeah,
go.
they've always been like this, those two guys. They've always been buddy buddy since 1963. And we're talking in this book like 1982 or 83, is it?
This book came out in '75.
75. Look at where I am.
Oh,
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't read it till 83 or 84.
and look at you now. You're the new 52. You're starting from scratch.
Yeah, look at this.
Danny Dio has hit Chett in the face. But overall, I don't know. This book was fine. The story was good. It's just the
I
art.
mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it started off pretty blase, weak. It built up at points, but when we got to the end, we got shelved, and now we had to wait for more. So, I mean, I've read all those books. I don't remember it very well. I remember the latter books, like between 10 to 15 or
Right,
even 16, because I
right.
think it ended at 17.
Yeah, it didn't stick. This wasn't a series that really sold back then. If you guys are looking for something cool to read, just piece of history, something fun with some niche characters, you would probably find all of these in the dollar bin. So
Possibly. Actually, no, I've seen, I guess, number one, I think I've seen it at about $400 or $500 in a 9.8.
in an IA,
So,
that's if you
yeah.
like flat. If you're just like looking for something to pick up for the PC in a raw,
Yeah,
not
it's
really.
don't get me wrong, it's a decent run. I mean, the books don't stay as level or as medium as this one does. Later on, they face some pretty decent guys. They have some good fights, and they ultimately have a breakup. So, I mean, overall, it's a decent series to read. Good 1 through 17 overall.
Right. And I mean, I'm kind of shocked that the cast really worked that well. Just because you look at some of these characters, you look at Johnny Blaze, who really doesn't get much love today with Robbie Reyes and Danny Ketch.
Right.
Um, and then you look at Hercules, who's barely used in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. Um, that's current right now that Al Ewing is doing. He barely used him just so he can bring in the Dark Olympians. But that's actually really fun run. But you're still not getting these characters really being used. Even look at what Hickman's doing. He's not really using Angel at all.
No, he's not.
I think I've seen Angel maybe 3 times
No,
in.
I've seen it too.
Well, we saw him. We barely saw him in House and Powers of X.
Yeah.
And then he appeared in the Alan Davis one with the Nightcrawler. And then I think he appeared again. It was either in Giant Size Storm or Giant Size Phantom X. It was in one of the two. But he hasn't been in anything.
I not anything recently, no.
Nope.
He's
Maybe.
got like no in the past year. I think I've seen Angel once.
Right. And it's been like that with like Banshee as well. And we can pick out some other mutants, but that's when we talk about House and Powers of X. We have you back on the show for that. But
No
but anyway,
problem.
let's get to Champions #1 by Mark Waid and Humberto Ramos. This is basically introducing the teenagers that are getting all the Disney Plus speculation and that are driving up everyone's favorite key issues. That, I mean, I'm not a big key collector. I don't collect for keys. I don't pretend to have the wallet to do that, and that's not really my style. I find more enjoyment collecting the stories for what they are, stories. And I mean, to me, this is a book I would like to have in the collection. I don't own it. I think I've passed on it a few times. This cast has Miss Marvel, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Sam Alexander, Amadeus Cho's Hulk, and then Viv Vision. She doesn't come until later. Spinning out of Civil War #2, which is an event you can miss because it sucked. It is not on my recommend, guys. And we got Hillbilly Comics in the house. What's up, Bryce? What is up, Bryce? How you doing, bro? He said he was stopping by. I made him stop by. This book starts out with Kamala Khan. She's running with the Avengers, but she's fed up with them, and she's on a family vacation because she's fed up with the Avengers, and she needs a break. Pretty much the Jane Foster, Thor, Falcon, and then some other dude. I think it's not North Star. I don't know why it looks like North Star. But this is where like the art isn't great. I don't think Humberto Ramos has ever drawn well with his flashbacks. She's mad that they stopped a train, right? But the public is pissed because it did so much damage and they don't know how to deal with that, but yell at their heroes. It was Vision, Falcon, and Jane. I'm sorry. Falcon looked like 3 different people in like 2 panels. So
Yeah.
Humberto, great job, buddy. But I'm a huge Mark Waid fan. I think I was doing a thing with my collection. I think I have my current collection is Mark Waid stuff. But that's because Mark Waid is probably the most solid writer of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more solid than Bendis. I think he's more solid than Millar. I think Mark Waid is probably the most solid writer of the past 20 years of comics.
I'd say he's up there. But in regards to this book, I mean, well, if we're doing a comparison, I mean, I don't think there's really much of one. I think this one had a lot more fuel right off the bat.
Right. This is fun. It's just a fun book. That's really it.
I mean, we get a little bit of a back history in terms of exactly what's going on with each and everybody, why she left the Avengers, and I mean, basically what's going on with Sam and Miles, and she's able to reconnect with them, and throughout the whole book, it's just like a nice building process.
Right. And I've never been a huge fan of Kamala Khan. I think of all these new characters, it's very hard for me to get attached to some of these newer characters. I like Sam. I like Miles.
Yeah, me too. I even like Amadeus Cho.
I'm not the biggest Amadeus Cho fan. I'm not the biggest Kamala Khan fan. You can pass.
I'm not the biggest fan, but I think in this series, they have their their equal attribute of parts, and he fits in.
Right, he fits. That's a great way of putting it. He just fits. And I think there's a great balance in this series in character moments, and especially in this issue. But Kamala Khan, right? She leaves the Avengers. She's like, "Screw you guys," and she calls her two buddies, which are Miles and Sam. Sam is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I like him.
I love that Ed McGuinness cover where he's just flying with his fist. You've seen it
That's a
before.
great cover.
Yeah. But that's just phenomenal. If you guys have not seen it, it's like made me fall in love with Sam. It's great design.
I'll tell you what I do like about this book. You know how well they know each other because Sam, as soon as he meets up with her, looks at her and says, "She's about to say somebody should," and boom, there she is. Somebody should. And Miles like, "Oh God." Like it's all coming back to them. They know each other. So,
Right,
there's a better familiar feel in terms of, the connectivity of these characters as
right,
opposed to the first champions 40 years earlier.
right. And even though these characters are very new at the time, which is not really like it was with the other story,
Right.
Waits was a great sense of how they know each other,
Yes.
which I thought was very cool. I'm like, if he wrote this 3 years after they were like already developed, or 6 years, how much better this could have been. There's just props to Mark Waid as a writer. It's not my
Yes.
favorite Mark Waid story, but it does its job. I think it's just not my favorite because he's done a lot.
Have you read this run?
I've read this run.
I like this run.
I've read it. I started collecting when Zub took over the book, though.
I wasn't aware of who was writing, and up till tonight, I wasn't aware of who was doing the writing. To be honest, that's why I have you. But for the most part, I like when the way this book progressed because they end up with Cyclops that was transported there from the past, obviously by Beast in those books, and he gets into it every now and then with them because he's Mr. Leader, and I liked it. I liked the way he came, and I liked the way he left.
Right,
So it was, to me, that's all good stuff. I like the team process build in this. I like the cohesiveness of the team. I like when they're off, they all find a way to emulate a team and figure it out together. And ultimately, she seems to be the leader.
right,
So it all works for this.
right. You also have to look at what this is aimed to do, and that is to bring kids into comics when this was relaunched. Um, Sup, fam? Feeding the kids, can't type much, but you're listening. Good looks, bro. Good looks, bro. And if you do need a book for your kids, this is probably the best one, I would say, other than Strange Academy, if you want to get them started on something new. This is a great book, and it's written the same way. It's like, the adults, they don't understand us. They don't understand what we want. So let's make our own team. That's what Kamala Khan is doing.
That's exactly what she's doing. It's like a clubhouse build.
Wrap her arms around Miles just to say that, and it took 3 pages. It was great. That was probably.
Can we show that? Can I show that? Let's see.
Yeah, we have it. We have it on our iPad. She just wraps her head around him. Boom. Boom. Just like that. She's like, "Shut up."
He even tells her, "I'm passing out from lack of oxygen."
Yep. And then Miles like, "Shut up. I know a guy. If you decide to stop choking me out, I know a guy." And it is Amadeus Cho, and he is so this hill in where was it, in Kentucky, is collapsing, so he's trying to free them, and he's not doing a very good job at it. So
he discovers her in the cave.
Yeah, so he finds him. He's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing here? Aren't you running with the Avengers?" Like, we broke up. She's like, "I don't like the adults." So they get him into the fold, and they rescue the people, which is great. And then they go see Viv, which is also great, right?
They have their run-in with Mr. Vision.
Yep. And knock on the door, and Vision's there, and she's like, "Oh, we're here for your daughter." And if you say that to any other father out there, they'll slap you in the face, shut the door, and probably shoot you in the face.
Help yourself to drinks.
Yep. Yep. But they recruit Viv, and then on the TV, they see these kids being held hostage. Like, "Oh, we're doing that. The Avengers won't care, so we got this." And it's basically, this book is the biggest middle finger to adults, to adult Avengers, because like
it literally does it.
Hashtag territory. Yeah. Hashtag champions at the end. Hashtag champions. If you guys are taking anything away, hashtag champions. It's like the adults don't care. They build this world. And this is introduced in the first page of the book. They built this world, then they destroyed it, and they don't care. So we're going to pick up the pieces. That is like the whole theme of this. Let's recruit a team of people our age. Boom.
I'll tell you another thing I did like the rescue itself with Amadeus Cho, how he just snuffed everything out with the Hulk clap,
Right.
and
That
then Nova rescued the people, and I mean, it was a good rescue plan for number one book for a first issue.
right. And then
It showed a lot of promise as far as a young team goes. So I got to give this book obviously the better nod over the one we read so many years earlier.
hold that. We're gonna hold that for later. But I think
My bad.
everyone's in agreement though. I think everyone's in agreement. But I just like to go over these first, kind of talk about
Oh,
the
absolutely.
a little bit. Um, and like you said, this book does its job, and they kind of gel together. If I were to pick a story, I would say Young Justice #1 by Peter David. I would say this is very similar
Yeah,
to that
good call.
than the Champions #1.
Right.
And then when I pick these issues to do on the show, I'm just like, hey, this is gonna be a fun idea. Let's do it. I don't really say, oh, this is like this, but I'm sure Young Justice will be on here one of these days. I'm
That'll
sure
be a good one.
that is a fun show. But anyway, the chick who or the bad guy who I forget her name, she after they free all of the children, Amadeus is just beating the crap out of her, and everyone's just cheering him on, like, "Oh, kill her! She's a murderer!"
Yeah.
This, and then he has to stop. I just love the way Humberto Ramos is able to capture his muscle tone. Like that's my favorite part.
Yeah. I mean, it's very clear. It looks like a younger body as opposed to the Hulk we know. It looks like an older body because
Right,
in terms of age difference, there's an age difference, but
huge.
this looks like a really well drawn kid Hulk.
Right, and
And I mean, and you know what I like also is that he's another scientist basically.
right,
So you got both the Hulks as scientists and who is it? She Hulk is a judge or a lawyer.
right. Um, But then the most important thing is people, since this is 2016, or this was written in 2016, we are in a very digital age, or entering a very digital age. I think everything got more digital, what, in probably around this time. Probably around 2000.
Yeah, I think it's progressed gradually because I think it was digital like early 2000s, and we've seen a progression every digital everything.
Right.
So
At
over
it,
the years,
right. Kind of just thinking, because I'm like, I grew up in this time, I'm 20 now, and I'm like, when did we first start going digital? Well, we've always been going digital, but I think that this is really the issue. It's like let's just modernize everything, right? Because this is what the world is used to, and it's just whenever there's a fight, you're going to record it and post it all over social media.
absolutely.
And that was a calling to other champions or other people who will join the team, like we mentioned earlier, the Cyclops that was brought back by Beast. You got Riri Williams, who's just holding up her helmet, her Ironheart helmet. By the way, that is a great series by Evil Ewing
Yeah,
and Luciano Vecchio. I know Vecchio's not the most popular person out there for what could have been. What was it? What was that book that was going to come back? I forget. But no one like got canned by him and Kibblesmith. It was like with the all those like, what was the name of it? I can't think of it right now. But you had Joaquin Torres. You had Stature, which is Cassie Lang. You had Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So
yes,
that's just these are the people that are going to be coming in the next few issues.
right.
And then we got hashtag champions. It's about time. Let's go.
And I think that fits this so perfectly, if you ask me. At like the end, and I think throughout the series they use that a lot. Like the internet, Twitter, and all the hashtags and all that stuff. I think that kept it a little fun, and in terms of what's going on in this day and age. So they're keeping up with the times in terms of the social media aspect of it and how they can promote themselves. Because at one point they were doing it, promoting themselves a lot that way.
Right. That's how they promoted the book. A lot. Oh, New Warriors. That was the book that Kibblesmith and Vecchio
That
just
was a good series.
no, but it didn't. No, they didn't get released because they were gonna bring back the New Warriors with all those new characters that no one
Uh,
wanted. I'm
when
sure
was that? What year was that slated for?
it was slated to come out during like the quarantine, but then it was like, oh, we were already gonna cancel it. We were gonna give it a few issues, but it was gonna get canceled. Oh, let's just can it all together because no,
It might not have sold too well.
it's not that it didn't sell. Yeah, it wouldn't have sold. It's just like the names of characters were so stupid. I'm trying to come with a nice way of saying it, but I'm like, I'm not trying to be insensitive to like their sexuality. So obviously, we need more characters like that. I'm glad that they're trying to create their own, but don't do it in a way that's stupid. Don't do it in a way that's
In a sense, like in a case like that, it's like they seem to force that more than just let it
happen.
Yeah, it's like we know what's going on in today's day and age. We know exactly the climate. We know people are offended by everything and all this, that, and the other thing. But you want to try and keep it to a point where it's all inclusive.
But
don't just change something about the way something already is.
Just
you know what I mean?
Something new and make it creative.
Exactly.
Right? Look at this champions team. Kamala Khan is Middle Eastern. Miles Morales is Afro Latino. Sam Alexander is Hispanic. And then you have
Sam Alexander. Sam Alexander is
half Hispanic.
Half Hispanic. Okay, yeah,
he's Hispanic. His mother's Hispanic. I was thinking of Jaime Reyes for a second. Okay. And Amadeus Cho is half Asian.
Asian, right?
And then Viv is Viv. Well, she's actually has a thing for Riri, which we're gonna find out later.
Yeah.
No. Which just I get it, but it just I was like, yeah, this is awkward. And it's awkward for me.
I guess you know what? I guess Viv, becoming more human and everything and so forth. I guess that's not as bad. You know why? Because I feel like as an android or whatever to that extent, that her interactions with the people around her are, kind of new. So right. She's going to be influenced by the people that are immediately impacting her. And Viv immediately impacted her. So I guess I can live with the way that was,
you mean like Riri impacted Viv.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not too upset about that.
I'm not upset about it. I'm just like, this is awkward for Riri.
Yeah, before you know it, she'll need spare parts for whatever she's building. Right.
But this was a great book. It was very solid. It did a job as the best Mark Waid book. No, the art progressed as the story got better. I still don't think
yes, indeed,
raw flashback to save his life. I think he does a very good job at drawing the kids just because his art style is so animated.
The scene where the kids are trapped is amazing. Even the static page is
right.
When they lose connection, all of that is good. He gets across the emotion well when they're surprised. I can say I'm very impressed with this book, more so than I thought initially when I read it.
What is up, Rod Justarican? How are you doing, brother? Part of the Tag Team Thursday crew. That's probably my favorite day of the week, by the way. Really missing it this week, but I'll have a video out.
My favorite day will always be Friday.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, Invincible, and another excuse to be lazy and watch TV. Yep, gotcha. But okay, we're talking about Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame. I think it's pretty well decided. Our vote is going with James number 1 by Mark Waid.
Agreed. And I'd have to say it's pretty much, I think it's more based on the fact that time had a lot to do with it, because we're talking, 40 years ago?
We're talking a good 40-year difference. What is up, Adam?
Yeah.
What is up, Nick? How are you guys doing, Nick? I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat. Welcome to ComixKings, buddy. Glad to see you part of the show. Got the shirt now. But yeah,
I would have to say that based on time and the space given what we were allowed to see back in the 70s, as opposed to what we're allowed to see in the 2000s, which is basically an unhinged gate, so to speak, because back then everything was so much more under control. You could even, just for example, the way that the females are drawn now. There's no flab. there's definition and so forth. Back then, we didn't have that. I don't feel like. I mean, there were particular artists you can count on one hand who were drawing more detailed stuff back then, as opposed to what we get today.
Perez didn't start drawing until what? He didn't start coming on until like
he was in the 70s.
He's in the later 70s, kind of like towards
later 70s, but yeah, he was one of the ones you could count on.
Hitting his prime. You had Frank Miller, who was just better at spacing, but that's Daredevil right there. It was all space. I would say Byrne really like kind of revolutionized. Byrne and Perez revolutionized the definition. And Cockrum you can throw in that conversation, but he was...
You can also say Neil Adams, who was mostly doing DC at that time, it seems, I think.
Right. Neil Adams was your DC guy.
Absolutely.
After X-Men. But for me, Don Heck it wasn't the tone for me, you know? And a lot of times when we're reading Bronze Age books and we're comparing it to modern times, a lot of people say they're not. You can still compare it because a good story is a good story. And it's all about what you like. So that's why I like comparing, seeing like the changes. And yes, there are two different art styles. Don Hex just doesn't do it for me, not because of the time. It's just because I don't like the way he draws Ghost Rider. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it seemed like a choppy build to draw him. I didn't like. You're right. Going back to the first book, the expressionisms, the full expressions. It's like they just seem dry and just like put on the page.
Right. And this is like even when it's recolored and everything. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, Byrne was drawing at the time. Cockrum was drawing at the time. You still had
Jack Kirby was even drawing back at that time.
And Jack Kirby was the worst at drawing faces.
I wouldn't go that far, Mr. Brandon.
No, Jack Kirby was not that good at
he might have had a little square jaw thing going on, but he's Jack Kirby. I hope you forgive Brandon for that one.
Not a knock on Jack Kirby. Rest in peace. I love Jack Kirby. I'm just not a fan of his faces. He draws the same face for every character.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Al McGrom was doing great work. The Buscemas were drawing amazing.
Yes.
Right? Don Heck, yes, he was part of the Steranko, phenomenal. But I don't think we're allowed to talk about Steranko now that he's like not up to speed on his Twitter and he's out. Did you not hear about that? I'll tell you off panel, or off screen, but like a lot of these other artists who were actually able to, I don't want to say like contribute because Heck contributed, but stay on a book.
Right.
Don Heck could never stay on a book to save his life.
No, he was everywhere.
I'm not bad-mouthing Kirby. I'm just saying. Jack Kirby did a lot. He laid a lot of foundations for artists to improve on. It's like what Frank Miller did with Daredevil, what Chip Zdarsky is doing now. It's just a continuation and an evolution. That's my biggest point. Don Heck just didn't ride the wave. It's that simple.
No, he seemed to be everywhere. I mean, he was on X-Men books. He's on this.
He was on Captain America. He was
Captain America.
Avengers before Perez.
Avengers.
He was the reason why Englehart was pissed the whole time he was on the book. But I not a fan of his work, and it makes perfect sense why he's on this book with Tony Isabella, who the way Tony Isabella speaks now, can't imagine he was happy with him then.
I thought I don't know, I just felt like although this book came out so long ago, it could have had a little bit more fire.
Right. There are certain things, there were just certain misses. You missed a lot with the Iceman and Angel relationship. I feel like if you took away Black Widow and Angel and Iceman, the book would still be the same.
Yeah, it was just bland.
That's exactly it. It was mainly focused on Ghost Rider and Hercules just to match the power of the people coming out of the portal. And then more people coming out of a portal, which is Hippolyta. And then
I'll tell you that this book's saving grace is the fact that the books that followed in a healthy fashion, book to book, it built something. And they ended up facing some better villains. some older villains that we already know. They end up facing the Sentinels. It has its progressions. It's all pretty good. The rest of the series. I mean,
Right.
this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. I've read the whole series. I've read all the champions. It definitely does progress in the plot. I feel like it's because Isabella and Heck are getting more used to what they're doing. And
Right.
these are the characters that were dropped off from the Silver Age. That were like kind of your left behind characters.
Exactly.
Um, and some of them are still left behind. Obviously not Black Widow, but Johnny Blaze is kind of left behind. His book got canceled, which is fantastic. Can't believe Ed Brisson. They
Now
let
we have about 4 or 5 Ghost Riders,
right.
that
Well,
overshadow him.
Cosmic Ghost Rider. That's a Donny Cates creation, so he's not going anywhere until Donny Cates
No.
goes to DC, whatever that'll be. Robbie Reyes, which if we're keeping the same status quo of pushing minority characters, that's huge. He was already in Agents of Shield and he was badass. You already have Danny Ketch,
Yes.
who is no longer Ghost Rider. If you're reading the current Ghost Rider stuff, he's the Death Rider. There's a difference. I don't care.
I'll be honest. I miss Johnny Blaze.
Yeah,
I that's the Ghost Rider I loved growing up, and these other guys, yeah, they're there and everything, but to me, the impact was from Johnny himself.
blame Howard Mackey
Why?
because he created Danny Ketch in the night.
That's all I needed to know.
Because he's like, I got to talk to him at Baltimore. I said, so what's the story behind Danny Ketch? He's like, I want to do something new with the Ghost Rider. I wanted to create a character after myself. Danny Ketch is after me. I'm like, oh, that sucks. I didn't say that to him. I was like, okay.
You better hope he's not watching.
Howard Mackey, if you're watching, could have done better. I mean, everyone has their own things, and his was just let me write about me. In hell. Let me put myself in hell because I'm not living there, apparently. He's like, clearly he's never been married, but. But I agree. Johnny Blaze is still the best Ghost Rider, 100%.
To me, yeah. I'll be honest with you. We've seen Robbie Reyes on Agents of Shield. We've seen, I guess, a moment between him and Johnny Blaze on Agents of Shield. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, it was in the cameo. It was his arm and a chain. I was like, oh.
I'll tell you, bro, I got chills seeing that because I was just like, we knew who he was.
We do.
We knew. And just seeing that was just like, boom, well done.
The Jason Aaron run was the last good Johnny Blaze. I would say the Ed Brisson, but it was mainly focused on the relationship between Johnny and Danny. Because there's like every 2 seconds, Danny's like, I'm your brother. Johnny's like, oh. I don't know if you read the Ed Brisson, but it was great. But it's like, I'm your brother. Great. Oh, and here's
anything goes wrong. To be honest, I haven't read it. The Teixeira run.
The Teixeira was garbage, and then Aaron came after.
Yeah, I read the Teixeira run, and that was other than those dope covers. I mean, it really didn't shake me.
I agree. Reyes is cool, and he's in everything. He's in Avengers. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to keep seeing him. He's a character.
The last time we saw Robbie Reyes was walking through a portal with the Darkhold in his hand.
And we never saw him again.
And we never saw him again. And the Darkhold ended up showing up where next time?
And what a kind of a cool little segue. I would have, I wish we could have moved forward with some more Robbie Reyes. He's a great character, A lot of people look up to him of the situation that he was in the show. And he made do with what he gave, with what he had,
Oh, yeah.
It's not something that I learned from. It's not always about like what you're given. It's like what do you have and what can you make of it? He was in a very bad situation and he made the most of it and he made it work.
I love the fact that they used him correctly. His power, where you could see the power, it was great the way it was used. His demeanor when he was doing something, he had the whole Ghost Rider feel. It was just really well done, man.
Right. As a human, he's like, this was wrong. But then as Ghost Rider, he's like, I don't care, let's do it. Anyway, um, and again, Adam says Falcon Winter Soldier episode 3 was great. Yes, I loved. Uh, Madripoor! Madripoor! We got Madripoor in the MCU! Yes! We got the best city in all of Marvel in one spot, and it couldn't have been better. Now,
I bet you half of everybody who heard Madripoor, if you were me, you're probably just missed hitting the ground and you were thinking, where's Wolverine? Where's Wolverine? Where's Black Widow? Where's Black Widow? Or something to that effect.
we did not talk about it, but we can.
Maybe I should shut my mouth then if others have not seen it. My apologies.
No, he's seen it. He thought we talked about it on Weekly Wrap Up, but we didn't because we didn't have Weekly Wrap Up this week. Bryce canceled. But I couldn't cancel 2 shows in a row, but the X on the gate, yeah. And those dance.
Zemo.
I don't know if you guys have ever read the Black Widow series by the Saska sisters. That's what, and it takes place in Madripoor with
Yeah, that was recent.
Yeah, with what's her name? Madame Mask was the big
Madame Mask.
And I was like,
I like that series.
This is exactly what the Madripoor in the show reminded me of. And I'm like, this is what Madripoor should be. Watching your back at every corner. You don't trust anyone. Villains can't trust villains. There are no heroes in Madripoor, but they'll take it away from you. And if you think you can be a hero, you're going to die.
Yep. I think when they showed us a little snippet of what Madripoor, they told us where was what. You know, they told us the city's the high ground, then they showed us the low ground, which they were going to. You know what I'm saying? So we know the difference.
Right. I'm excited I want the Black Widow movie to kind of retcon that. To kind of show a little bit of Madripoor. I don't think we're going to get it, but I'm like, okay.
I think we will because look, she's no longer alive. They're giving us a backstory. So we're going to get a lot of what she was doing to become a top-notch assassin.
That could be in Madripoor.
That's what I'm saying.
They can.
I think we could get Madripoor, related stuff. Who knows? When's that movie coming out?
I don't even remember what the new date is. If someone in the chat knows, if you guys want to look it up real quick, go for it. I don't. Those fight scenes were amazing. Yes, Sharon Carter's fight scenes. I'm so glad that we're finally addressing what she has to put up with, or what the consequences really fell on her. Yeah, in the fight scenes, it was directed by the dude who did John Wick.
Yep.
So we knew it was going to be amazing, and it was just.
That was a very John Wick feeling episode. Okay. If you think about it.
July 9th, Black Widow comes out. July 9th. And honestly.
That's not very far away.
The broker, so the power broker, I think could be Zemo. I think Zemo, it explains a lot. If Zemo were the power broker, I wouldn't be surprised. And Sharon Carter's really roughing it now, huh? Take that for what you will,
And she went to Madripoor because she found out Cap found his way back to Peggy.
Yeah. She was like, oh, shit. Now, think about it. Cap went back to the past. So, essentially, in Civil War, he made out with his niece. I would make out with Sharon, too, if I had the chance.
Oh, man. I'm trying to erase that memory.
Carter, a Skrull/broker.
I never know.
See a Skrull. Apparently, that's what Marvel is trying to push on us now. Is a Skrull. It is literally the Skrulls. I would not be surprised. Think about WandaVision, and then look at Captain Marvel, and a lot of their other cameos are involving Skrulls. And I'm like, yeah, cool. You want us to like the Skrulls, even though for the past, how many years have they been in comics? We were taught to hate them. Good work.
1962, I think.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four #2.
Yep, we were taught, hey, we're going to hate the Skrulls. And now it's like, oh, okay. We can like them again. They're fine.
Well, you know what I noticed in the books? Scrolls are enemies most of the time. On the screen, scrolls are your friend.
Right, and I'm like, it's kind of weird. It's a little, it's MCU. It's a very Disney thing to do.
Yeah, maybe they could expand on that later on. I mean, obviously, we got one good egg scroll, so we can't speak for the entire nation.
Right, I mean, yeah, it happens to be the leader or of the leader of that sect. We really haven't seen
Right.
of it. We really haven't seen the whole mass of the Kree yet.
No, we haven't.
We've
There's a lot of things we haven't seen. We haven't seen the destruction of what was the place where the Nova Corps?
we didn't, yeah, we haven't seen Sam Alexander. We haven't seen Richard Rider come in. We haven't seen. There's a lot of stuff we haven't seen. Adam Warlock come to terms. We haven't.
Well, we know he exists.
We know he exists. We also know Beta Ray Bill and Ares exist.
Yes.
And then one other schmuck from the Grandmasters thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of those celestial characters.
You know who I think fits into even these books? Yeah, I think that's who they were fighting. The Avengers and the Champions #1 from 2016. They were fighting the Wrecking Crew. It looked like, right?
Yeah, at one point they were fighting the Wrecking Crew.
I think the Wrecking Crew would be the easiest thing to put on the screen.
Oh, easy. And you can even redo another Carl Creel thing again.
Yeah, that would be I think that would be perfect.
They don't even have to be big. They can just be there, and I'm happy. Just be there.
Yeah. Show their face in a glance or something. Just, give us the idea that they exist.
Right, and we got Batroc, which is great, but it's like, oh, you need a failed hijacking Batroc. Boom, got it. Which I'm like, yeah, he's a little bit cooler.
He came and went as fast as a sneeze.
Right, and I have a feeling. Yeah, I agree. I think that this isn't the scrolls that are going to be really used in the longer term of the MCU. I think once that they decide to do the Kree Scroll War, because I think I'm a big believer that they were going to do that because and then they got the rights to Fantastic Four and X-Men. They're like, oh, let's wait a little bit so we can make it bigger. So let's just do minor stuff. Let's just give him some Korvac. Let's give him some Kang. But
that's not small stuff though, bro.
Not small stuff, but it's cool. But eventually that gives you patience and time. Because now you're not really rushing and we're still familiar with the Kree. We're still familiar with the Skrulls. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we follow Strange Tales and go back to early Silver Age stuff.
Yeah, you've been saying that for some time.
I've been saying that you're going to see a lot of those Strange Tales issues be put in the MCU quicker than you think. That is, if you want my 2 cents on speculation, I don't speculate that much. But when I do, I like to think I hit it out of the park. But
we'll call it a foul tip until it happens.
This is, again, Strange Tales 127 through 181. If you can find
those are a lot of big books. Those are all books that are not cheap, and a lot of those books contain a bunch of first appearances.
That's why I'm saying, and if you look at what Marvel's doing, they're going in a more magic and cosmic route on their big MCU stuff, which is why I think that's a perfect fit for them.
Yeah, Strange Tales will definitely get you magic and sorcery and mystical
and space.
In space.
So if you guys want to go read those, you always say, Brandon, you're a genius. You're right. Not to toot my own horn, but
I just ate.
Oh. What?
I'm saying, don't make me sick. Brandon, you're a genius.
Thank you. Hashtag champions.
Hashtag champions.
And make sure, and I think this pretty much covers the show. We hit everything. Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame, Episode 8, Contest Champions, the Mark Waid Story 1. I put Chett's Instagram description. It's weird seeing Chett talk about something that's not X-Men focused, but it's great to get him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
Go follow him on Instagram. I put in the description below. And if
I'll follow you all right back if you do.
Exactly, 100%. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel, you're more than welcome to as well. The support is always appreciated. You guys want to leave a comment? Let's make the comment. If you guys want to go to the comment section after this video, hashtag champions. Let's make it fun.
Hashtag champions.
Hashtag champions. That's all you guys got to do. Hashtag champions. After the show, comment hashtag champions, and we're gonna get it go. Anyway, Chett, thank you so much for being here. If you guys are catching the replay, remember hashtag champions.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. As always, this is fun. And you're right. Thanks for bringing me out of my comfort zone.
Hey, no worries. And you guys will be seeing Ryan back here on next week's episode, which we've yet to decide. I'm sure we'll talk about it probably tonight. But thank you guys. Have a great night. Hashtag champions.
Hashtag champions.